Good morning, students. Today we are going to discuss about macro processor. Before going to this particular macro processor, I want to tell you what is macro. Here, macro is nothing but it represents a commonly used group of statements in the source programming language. See, macro it is used to represent a group of statements in the source programming language. That's why we are preferring macro. Then again, macro processor. Macro processor is nothing but that thing is replaces each and every macro instructions based on a corresponding group of source language statements. This is called expanding the macro. Macro processor replaces the each and every macro instruction with the corresponding group of source language. Whatever the things we are doing here, that is nothing but macro expansion. Then again, you might observe here particular figure. Source code is nothing but that contains a group of information. Macro processor will be replacing each and every macro instruction with corresponding source programming statements. That is nothing but these two things can be called as expanding the macros, like expanded code. Then we'll pass to a compiler or assembler. That compiler is nothing but here you know that it can act as an intermediate, mediator, not intermediator, like it can act as a mediator between one thing to another thing, that is HLL to MLL. Then assembler is nothing but assembler can act as a mediator, mediator between assembler to assembly level language to machine level language. Compiler is nothing but it is used to convert HLL to MLL, assembler assembly to MLL. Then once we did all these things, the thing will be building. The things will be going to build object code. Then again, a basic macro processor function. Here, macro definition and expansion. Figure 4.1 shows an example of SIC or XC program using macro instructions, read buff and write buff. Here, according to that particular program, it uses two macro instructions, read buff and write buff. These two things can act as a sub function. These two things contain whatever the functions and logics of this particular sub functions we observed, read rec and then write rec in previous chapters. Like that, here these two things also working. These two things can act as a sub function of that particular program. Then again, macro and amend. Macro and amend can act as a assembler directives of the program. It can act as a macro definitions. Again, we use read buff can act as a name. As I told that read buff can act as a first sub function name. Again, parameters of the macro instructions. Each parameter begins with the character ampersand. Macro invocation statement and arguments to be used in expanding the macros. Parameters of the macro instruction, each parameter begins with the character ampersand. Here each and every parameter, obviously whatever the parameter we are observing, the thing will be starting with ampersand character. That will begins with the ampersand character. Ampersand character is used to add and substitute and then concatenating the things. Again, macro invocation statement and arguments to be used expanding the macros. Figure 4.2 shows the output that would be generated. First, initially we need to discuss about 4.1. Later we'll go to 4.2 about how the thing will be going to build output here. This particular figure, whatever the program, whatever the instructions we are observing here, line 5, the thing will be starting with name, that is the name of the program is copy. Then the thing is present under that label field. First, the thing will start with start 0. As you know that line number 5, 10, 15, that particular column can act as a line number. Then copy, read buff, whatever the thing you are observing, that is that can act as a label field. And then start macro, clear plus LDT. This particular column can act as a mnemonics. And 0 ampersand indev x a #4096. This particular column can act as a operand. Remaining are comments line of that particular things here. Line number 10, what observing here, this particular thing will go in line number 10 identifies the beginning of the macro definition. Definition, that is the thing is present under that label field, that is nothing but read buffer. Read buffer, as I told, that can act as a name of your particular sub function. Then after that, macro ampersand indev, ampersand buffer address, ampersand record length, these three things can act as a parameters of that particular read buffer macro. This is you might observe here, as I told that in previous slide we used ampersand symbol. As I told that ampersand symbol is used to concatenate or else adding the parameters. Then again, each parameters begin with the symbol, as I told that ampersand symbol, that is used to concatenate, then adding the information. Then again, here line number 15 to 90, whatever the instructions you were using, that will construct, these instructions will construct the body of the macro definition. Then once we constructed, if you want to end, that means obviously you are calling amend assembler directives. The thing is present under that line number 95, that is amend. Amend is used to ending that particular sub function read buff. Then again line number 100 to 160, the thing is belongs to write buff. Obviously whatever the information, whatever the instruction we are observing here, this is used to construct the macro like body of the macro definition. Then if you want to end, means obviously you are calling like amend. Here MEND, this can act as assembler directive to end your particular program. Later a main program will be starting. Based on this particular line number 170. Then again 180, the thing will be starting from this particular instruction. Line number 180 is used to call your particular macro statements. Line number 180, it is used to call like a macro invocation statement that gives the name of the macro instructions whenever it is being executed, like invoked arguments to be using expanding the macro. So line number 182, we are just we are expanding our macro instructions. And later here line this particular figure, you might observe here, whatever the figure we observed in previous slide, that is a figure 4.1. This is whatever the thing we are observing here, this is belongs to 4.2. Figure 4.2 can act as an input. Whatever the instruction we faced now, those figure, that particular program can act as an input for upcoming particular program, whatever the slide we are observing here. This is in this particular figure we neglected macro instructions and the definition, because the things are deleted, because there is no use to represent, there is no use to consider those macro instruction and definitions under this particular program, because of that reason we deleted those macro instruction and definitions under this particular program. Same thing here, line number 5, the thing is starting with the help of obviously copy can act as the name of the program. The thing will be start with that particular start, then operand is 0. Line number 180, as I told that main program, whatever the content we observed in previous slide, the thing will be started with line number 180. First STL return address, obviously whatever the address we got, that will be stored under that particular linkage register, that is L, save return address here. Line number 190 A2 190 M, this is a complete expansion of the macro invocation on line 190. This particular whatever the red symbol we are observing here, like box shape symbol, a box shape content we are observing, that is line number 190A to 190M. This is a complete expansion of the macro invocation. Then same thing, line number 210 to 220 are complete expansion of the macro invocation. Then again later 222 220H are say macro expansion of that particular complete like macro invocation, then same thing the thing will be repeating here. Once we done that, just we need to end here like this is about with this particular program we are expanding our macros instructions. This is about particular macro input and then macro output program. Remaining things we'll discuss tomorrow. Thank you.